This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Douglas Shear founded D.I.S. Consulting in 1982 and has led the firm through 550 field studies, researching cameras, servers, storage, audio switchers, lighting, lenses, digital cinematography, and much more. He also currently serves as the governor for the New York region for the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, which all the rest of us call SMPTE. Hello, Doug. Welcome.
Hello.
Before I offend you, do you want to be Doug or Douglas? I have managed to say it twice differently.
I like Doug.
You got it. Doug, what is D.I.S. Consulting?
Well, we are a syndicated market research company. We do both syndicated studies and also custom projects.
What does the word syndicated mean?
It means that more than one company can buy the same study.
Well, research companies have been doing that for a long time, where they'll do research and sell it to anybody that wants to pay for the check. So it sounds like syndication also has some control over the content of the study? Or is it just simply that you're selling to multiple buyers?
Well, another way to say it is multi-client.
Oh, okay. That is much more understandable than syndicated, because syndicated I'm still struggling with. Okay. Who are typical clients?
Well, we've had over 1,700 of them, so you could say that if the study is about cameras or camcorders, it's most of the major brands supporting that study.
So then tell me about the research itself. What are we trying to determine?
Well, the core of any of these studies is the product area. So people are wanting to know what their brand share is. They want to know which market segments, which regions are purchasing the most equipment or planning to purchase the most equipment, and what kind of equipment they're going to buy. Because there's a lot of range within, let's say, within cameras or camcorders. We collect our information by sensor, and so that's of more use to the manufacturers.
Well, there's lots of different ways that we can do this. Are you looking at sales data and trying to see what's buying, or are you looking at demographic data in terms of projecting who the audience is? What are we looking at? What are we basing our studies on?
Well, we're basing the studies on feedback directly from end users. In this case, broadcasters, professional video or audio users of a variety of types. So ranging anywhere from institutional users to TV broadcasters to independents, mobile companies, meaning the truck companies, and everything and anything in between.
We've had a lot of fun over the last several shows talking to several different market companies who are trying to figure out what's selling or predicting what's happening in the future or determining what features manufacturers need to add to their equipment. What would be an appropriate use of your data?
Well, as I say, the central area is the product data, but we go way beyond that. So in our technology trends section, we look particularly at the features or specifications that people might want in the next generation of camera, server, whatever the product is.
So you're helping people figure out what the next product should be in terms of a feature set, not just simply whether it's selling or not.
Exactly.
So what are some recent studies and what have you learned? Tell me all the gossip. I really want to know all the secrets here.
Well, I think there are a lot of different things going on in the industry at the moment. One is what I would call prices in free fall. So looking at cameras and camcorders as an example, something that you might have had to spend $100,000 for just 5 or 6 years ago is now probably something you can put in your hands for less than $10,000. Yeah. So, we're seeing that as a real change in the accessibility of equipment to customers.
That's a question a lot of us have always been asking. The price of these cameras and other items have gone from 6 figures down to a couple of figures. How did that happen?
Well, part of it is competition. I think part of it is a reaction to the crash of 2008, because in many ways the industry is still reacting to that, is still pulling itself up from that. And in fact, another thing I would say is a big trend at the moment is that there are a lot of manufacturers who I feel are hanging on by a thread. You know, they're really candidates for acquisition, and they're not hiding it very well.
So obviously the margin is not very wide as it used to be, correct?
Right. So profits are very tight. And when you look at, let's say, I don't like to name names of companies particularly, in part because they're almost all clients. But I would say that, I mean, that, you know,
That's
for
all right. We're not going
survival's
to
sake,
ask you.
for survival's sake. But I would say that just taking the category of cameras and camcorders, uh, what you're seeing is that there there are many of the same features, many of the same levels of operation. Most cameras now are ultra high definition, or certainly most companies are offering one flavor or another of ultra high def. Uh, and yet you can buy such a camera for as little as $1,000,
Yeah.
or you can buy it for 25 or 35 or more, so 1,000. So uh, those companies that are insistent on maintaining profit, are insistent on providing what they believe to be better quality, uh, they're really getting tough competition from uh, what I would call bottom feeders.
One of the challenges that we have, especially in a technology industry, is technology changes so quickly that
Mm-hmm.
you're afraid that whatever you buy today in 6 months is outdated. Does your research look into that at all in terms of fear of buying because whatever you get is going to be out of date? And what have you seen?
Well, I like to quote. I had in the '80s. I edited the first guide to electronic news gathering, and C. Robert Paulson, Bob Paulson, was the principal author. He said something in there which was, uh, if you're seeing it in the market now, if it's been introduced at NAB, let's say, whatever it is, don't buy it for the first year. If it's still around a year later and there's nothing superior to it and enough people are out there using it, then you might feel safe in investing in it. Pretty good advice.
But given the technology turnover that we're seeing now, even if something is successful, a manufacturer is scrapping it and moving on to something else in 6 to 8 months.
It depends on which product you're talking about. I think that that's very true. Certainly, very true in consumer products. I think it's a little less true in professional or broadcast products. Uh, the problem, really, for a consumer of professional products who's trying to be sophisticated and thoughtful about it, is that yes, they are being bombarded with one offering after another, and so it's very hard when so many products are so similar to the others to decide which one is really the superior product.
Let's flip the coin. You've been doing research for manufacturers, helping them figuring out what features they need. For
Right.
people that are creating content or the broadcasters who are using the gear, can your
Yes.
research help us to figure out what we should be doing next?
It can. I can say personally, uh, we've always chased after manufacturers. That isn't to say we haven't had broadcasters and major facilities and even the consulting companies, the Accentures and the McKinseys, as clients. We have, and that has sometimes been very useful to end user customers.
So, can creatives draw conclusions from some of the trends you're seeing? And what trends are you seeing that we need to pay attention to?
Well, I think there are a number of things now, certainly ultra high definition, but I think we get lost in, I like to say, I'm a K, you're a K. You know, everybody has a different flavor of K. And I think it's important not to get snookered, you know, not to get taken in by simply the idea that high resolution is going to give you what you need. I think professionals are now looking much more carefully. They're looking at high dynamic range. They're looking at high frame rates. They're looking beyond purely ultra high definition. And that's smart because I'll take a company like Ariflex. They've been a client. But I'll just say that for a long time, they offered some very, very nice cameras, and they had a very strong position in digital cinematography. And yet they weren't offering Super 35 or 4K. They were taking a different path, and yet they produced cameras that offered very high quality, very, very high-end features, and they had and still have a very strong following. So I think it illustrates that true professionals, I mean customers, are often able to look beyond simply the next generation, and they're able to look for and seek and buy those products that have the features they really want. And that's, again, it's very smart.
I'm thinking about professional consumers and the flight to the bottom that we're seeing with pricing. Are we seeing more decisions are based solely on price because either there's a feature similarity or we don't understand the feature and therefore discount it? Or is there something that is more dominant than price, such as brand name or testimonials from somebody else?
Well, I think, I feel that the forums, meaning the online forums, are among the most useful things to users because they can get genuine feedback from, regardless of the fact that there are some ringers in there, but they can get genuine feedback from other similar customers about new products or existing products, and that's very helpful beyond, beyond the promotional control of the manufacturers. So I advise people to use things like that in order to have a feel for what really happens when you buy a certain product.
Are you looking principally at hardware, or do you look at software as well?
We do look at software. I think the overarching thing about software today is that every system which requires software, let's take cameras, although I'm not a one-trick pony here, but taking cameras, there's virtually no identical workflow between cameras, even of the same manufacturer. So each one has different compression. Each one has different connectivity. Each one has different kind of software that is required in order to blend it all into an end-to-end capture to finish system. So, therefore, software is tremendously important. And I think that the model today, which was really promoted largely by Adobe, which is leasing your software and not owning it, is advantageous in the sense that most of the major software packages that you would need in order to operate either as an independent or within an institution are available in that way. And that way you're always knowing that you're having the latest iteration of that software. But we do cover software in our sports report, in our digital cinematography report, in many of our reports where we're focused mostly on editing or graphics.
As you look at the last 6 months and project into the next 6 months, what's the big takeaway that we should learn based on your research?
Well, I think there's some things that are really coming to a boil, I would say. One is that flash media is just absolutely primed to take the place of hard drives. I think you're going to start to see that show up in products in the form of all flash storage within laptops and tablets and so forth. I think you're going to see a much more proliferation of flash. It's already probably penetrating something like 65 or 70% of camcorder use. But it's certainly, that's very much spreading. I think there's certainly the impact of drones and robotics and other forms of automation, very important and continuing to grow. We have a drone study, so we're very interested in that. And I think as far as 6 months, The economics are a concern. I mean, the world has continued to be very unstable from an economic point of view, and that's certainly most seen in Europe, but it's seen in pockets around the world, and that's difficult for manufacturers.
It's
Look what's
difficult for the
happening in
rest of us,
China
too.
right now.
Right, right.
Doug, for people that want to learn more about your research or invest in your reports or just congratulate you for a job well done, where can they go on the web?
Simply DISresearch.com. They'll find all the prospectuses there. They'll find information about the company. That's a good suggestion.
Doug, I want to thank you so very much for your time. This has been fascinating.
Yeah.
And the website that they can go to is disconsulting.com.
DISresearch.com.
disresearch.com. Doug Shear
Right.
is the founder. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thanks.